that. Okay, so let's get started. So, thanks everyone for joining. This is another podcast for Canada IT Club, and today's session will be mainly on IT contracting. So, a lot of people who are working currently in Canada, we know that a lot of job opportunities you might have seen for incorporated jobs or contracting jobs. So we just wanted to understand what is contracting, and how it will change the way you work or the way you apply for the jobs. So today I have invited Hitesh, who have been a kind of master in contracting. He have been working as a contractor for quite some time right now, and he will help us navigate through this. And on the record, I am also a contractor. I have also been contracting for around 6+ years now. So we both will try to navigate, and we'll try to answer all the questions what we have, what you guys have. It's only the first question I'll be asking, but after that the floor is open. Anybody can ask the questions. And why this is important, right? That is also we had to understand why this contracting thing is important, because what it will do is when you are trying to apply for the job, when you are trying to apply for these kinds of jobs, right, at that time the contracting, the way the knowledge of contracting will help you negotiate the rates, and it will also help you in getting it's not like the applying for the full-time job is a bit different than contracting. So you have to fix the job search strategy if you are looking for contracting. We'll also cover the limitations also, and there are a couple of important links which you have to go through it. I will post it in the chat, in our uh, in the original post. You can go through it. One thing is parameters which you have to consider between full-time and contracting. Second thing is basic difference between full-time and contracting. But before we get started, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Sudhir. I'm the founder of Canada IT Club, and Canada IT Club is a IT professional group based out of Canada, where we share this information. We run the podcast. We try to help out each other, and we have a job board where it's called CanadaITClub.ca, and we have a LinkedIn page which is Get Hired in Canada, where we try to repost the jobs which is posted by the recruiters. Hitesh, one quick intro, and then we'll get started.
Okay. Thanks, Sudhir, for the kind words in the intro. My name is Hitesh Dave. I've been in IT industry for 24 years now. Of that, 8 years ish in contracting, and I've been in Canada for maybe 17, 18 years as well. Um, and I'll just start with the first question, Sudhir, for you, and then maybe we'll open the
Sure.
forum. And also, I just want to give one uh, very high level contracting best practice 101, is that if you're a fresher or just out of the college, don't try get into contracting when you are just starting your career. I mean, a lot of people just want to, hey, let me start as a contractor. I'm out of the college or university, and you need to build some lateral experience before you enter the world of contracting. And then I also always tell contracting is not forever. You need to divide your career on an average. If you have a career of 45, 50 years, your work life, give or take, the first 10, 15 years, you should plan for full time, because you gain all the experience, network, and etc. etc. And then the middle 15 years, which is 16 to 30, or you need to plan as again as a contracting. And when you are at the far end of your career, you should try to move back to full time. So the middle portion we're going to talk here in today's session, because and that's how what are the nuances which happen. So my personal plan is the same thing. Like I'm in the middle portion right now of the 15 to 30 years of my career, and maybe in 5, 6, 7 years I'll go back to full time, because after certain um, years of experience, the contracting world gets obsolete for certain skills. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but I'm not being negative. I'm just saying the fact of the matter. So you need to have those very high level thought process in your head that contracting is typically for people who are have some experience, at least 5+ to start with, and then go from there. Yeah. Thanks, Sudhir. Go ahead.
Thank you, Hitesh. We'll get started. So, Hitesh, can you just explain? uh, at the high level, what is this incorporated contracting, right? So we have two types of contracting, which is called T4 contracting and incorporated contracting.
Yeah.
We are not covering T4 contracting. Please keep in mind, we are not covering T4 contracting today. We are covering only incorporated contracting. So Hitesh, can you just in a high level explain what is incorporated contracting?
Yes. So T4 is typically when you have the employer or the person who's employing you has to give you a T4. When they give T4, they need to cut your EI, CPP, and there is a lot of payroll work, tax work. So they are kind of semi full-time employees from a paperwork point of view for the employer. And there's an additional burden and cost the employer typically have. Again, we're not going in T4 part of the incorporation is that I have a set rate, and so you are selling a product. So you are the product here. So in this case, when you are a contractor, as an incorporated, say my incorporation name is ABC. I'll put my contract with the employer and say employer A and ABC incorporation are entering into a contract for a Java developer or a front stack developer for course of 6 months, and I'm going to pay ABC contracting $50 an hour plus HST. That's their clean, straightforward, simple pay point of view. So there's no other EI, CPP, other tax cuts they need to manage. And there is no typical labor laws or any other people management skills or not skills requirements the employer have to have. So they typically deal as that you are a commodity. Again, with all, you're not a commodity, but you provide the service a commodity. So when you are providing service commodity, they typically deal you as an incorporation, even though you're a one-person company, and they give you plus HST. And when you file your taxes, you are not filing taxes as Hitesh. You are filing your taxes as the ABC company at the end of the year, and whatever HST you have collected from your employer, you need to remit it back to the government because 13%. For example, if you go to Walmart, Costco, or whatever shopping you do, you pay HST, right? So to Walmart, and so Walmart and Costco don't keep that HST. They have to pass it back to the government. But they are collecting on your behalf in the interim, and whenever they file their whatever paperwork they file, they remit the HST. So in this model, there is one plus you might have. Again, every accountant will tell you differently. That you can go with the flat 8% model, or you can say that, hey, I am going to keep all 13% of the HST. But when you do that route, you need to show the receipts or the expenses to write off the 13% HST. Or you can say that I'm going to pay back 8% of the 13% and keep the 5%. 90% of contractor in Canada, they go with that 8% model where they will remit back 8% to the government and they keep the 5%. So on top of your hourly rate, you get to keep the 5% as well. That's the additional bonus you get. Secondly, you need to pay yourself. So ABC Incorporation, which is my company as an example, have to pay Hitesh Dave. So ABC Incorporation will issue me as a person a T4, and I get to decide how much I need to be paid depending on your personal situation. You might pay less, pay more, or somewhere in between. If a lot of people, personally, what I do is when I am getting closer to my mortgage renewal, again, that's very factual, I start paying myself higher. So to
Yeah, Hitesh,
show,
let's not get into there. Okay, we'll we'll cover that. That is a bit complex. But yeah,
yeah.
please go ahead.
So you need to pay yourself. So there are some tax nuances you need to be aware between incorporation and T4.
Yeah,
Uh,
we'll get there. We'll get there, Hitesh.
yeah.
Yeah. So before we get into taxes, right? So a lot of people ask how to get into a contract, right? How do I approach for an incorporated job? How the job application is different from a full-time job. So can we cover that? And also, I'm opening up floor to everyone. In case anybody has any question, please raise your hand. I will be promoting you as a speaker. You can ask the questions. But Hitesh, can we just explain or can we just go through what are the differences in job search strategies when you are applying as a full timer versus contracting?
Okay, so the from a resume, I mean the job posting point of view, the recruiters, staffing agencies, they are mostly the bulk of the people who post contract jobs. And if you are hiring for full time, the HR of the company typically posts. So I don't want to go there on the full time part of it. When the recruiters get it, they are not the only recruiters who get the job from the particular bank or company. Uh, every bank or company have preferred staffing agencies or recruiters, so they share their jobs to their whatever 4 or 5 preferred staffing in recruiting agencies. So these guys, moment they get the job, for example 9 a.m., the hiring manager will distribute the jobs to the staffing agencies, their preferred staffing agencies. By 10 or 11, sometimes before the noon of same day, the job is posted on online Monster, Indeed, on their company or the staffing company websites and everything. Some have exclusive contract, only goes to one recruiting company or staffing company. Most of them have 4 or 5 staffing agencies. And typically, when the staffing agency get the job, they want to submit as many as profile as best as which matches the skill set as possible. So they will be in the rush collect the resumes, number one, and try to reach out to you and submit the okay. Are you interested? And you say yes, I'm interested. Then there is something called right to represent. So the staffing agency have to, again, I think it's now becoming a law, have to ask you right to represent, that you are exclusively being represented for a particular role for bank A or TD Bank, just an example. And you give your first name, last name, your day, month and year. You give not, you don't give all the information, but you give last three of your SIN number, etc. So it means that you will not duplicate or do double submission for the same role. And those things they keep collecting, and the staffing agencies have sometimes a cutoff that this job closes by so and so date. Sometimes it's 24 hours cutoff, sometimes 72 hours cutoff, depending on the hiring manager's start date or need. And once the hiring manager gets all this resumes and information, they go through the filtering process. Most of the time, ATS, you might have heard, automated tracking system. They do the first round or first cut of filtering the resumes, that your resumes have the skills, must have skills the job needs. And based on if you pass the first smell test, lack of a better word, the recruiter will may again ask you for more questions, or hiring manager might ask you more questions, and then there will be typical interview and screening, which might happen with any other job search or job hiring process. At the end, assuming that you get selected, so they will not sign contract with Hitesh. Again, going back to my original opening comment, they will sign a contract with my incorporation, which is ABC Incorporation. And Bank A is entering into contract with ABC Incorporation for the course of 6 months. For this is the scope of service. These are terms and condition. This is how much I will get paid. This is the payment frequency. This is the suspension clause. This is the termination clause. So it's like a full blown contract, where you need to sign and you agree, and then you have your background checks and all those things, which happen sometimes before that, and then you start your work. And we'll enter into the how the starting the work happens, but we'll stop at from the hiring process to the posting of the job till the hiring time. Any question?
Thank you, Hitesh. Anybody, the floor is open. In case anybody has any questions, you can ask. We'll promote Sajid first. Sajid, let me introduce Sajid before Sajid introduce himself. He is also a partner in crime. He also is a he also tries to help job seekers. He has his podcast running every Mondays. He is also working, I mean, we both are working together in helping the job seekers get knowledge about Canadian IT market, tips and tricks of job search, how to prepare your resumes and all. And he is also a part of the Get Ahead in Canada and Canada IT Club, where he tries to repost the jobs which is posted by the recruiters in Canada. So if you are searching for a job, you can check for Get Ahead in Canada or Canada IT Club.ca. We have a lot of jobs. Hey, Sajit.
Hi, good evening. Hitesh, I just want you to throw light on the challenge because the job search in a contract position is different from a permanent positions, right? So for the audience, that is one thing I would want you to share light as to why is it different and how much networking. Because I very rightly you said that you need to build your permanent, in the sense, experience in a permanent role, and then shift to jobs, especially for people who are new to the country, and then they want to just get into one job, right? Even if they don't have experience, they try to get into a contract role. And of course, the sorry, in terms of your PR, and in terms of your later bank loans and all those things, it affects it. So just throw light on what is the difference in a contract, getting a role in a contract role and in a permanent role.
Yeah, but before that, I just wanted to add one point. What Hitesh said, I'm just going to reaffirm it. So basically, contracting, you need very good contacts in consulting firms, and networking is also it's very imperative that you have to have a big professional network to keep up the contracting, because every contracting is mostly 6 months, right? So you have to have the network. It's not only the first job, even after the first job, right? You have to keep up these contracts live. So you need to build a very good professional network amongst peers, and you need to have a very good consulting firms contacts, so that you can keep your contracts live. So yeah, go ahead, Hitesh.
Yeah, so going on to Sajid's question. Hi, Sajid. Nice to meet you, virtually meet you. Yeah, so in terms of how the jobs, I mean, the hiring process happens, typically as again, so they don't want to go through hassles of hiring somebody on work permit who is temporary resident, student visa. They want somebody who is PR, at least in Canadian anti-market, or a Canadian passport holder. So it's from a visa point of view, or your residency. That's the first thing they want to clear off. So which is basic 101 here. Next thing, as Sudhir and Sudhir both says, is networking matters. Your networking with the recruiting company matters. The staffing agency matters. Timing matters. So when the job is posted, say at 9 a.m. Again, I'm going back because I'm telling my personal experience. A lot of jobs get closed within 12 hours of posting because they just get like 500 resumes, all are, and they have to filter through that. They said, "Stop! I don't. I can't take any more resumes." So the timing also matters. So you need to be on top of things when you get a job, and you meet the job must-have skills. You need to connect with the recruiter, email them, and wait for half an hour, 1 hour. If they don't reply, pick up the phone. You will see the number in the signature most of the time, and call them and say that, hey, I sent it to you. You got the email. I'm very interested. Also, I think I covered in the other session, your resume. So your resume have to match the must-have skills for that job. Again, the ETS does a lot of filtering here, and in the first cut, if it's not been selected, it gets dropped off to the next one. And then when you say they say they will try to pick in second round, that never typically happens. First round is the first round. Other thing which happens in contracting world is your rate. So when you ask the contract the staff, what's your rate range, right? So they will give a range of say 65 to 75, just an example. Depending on how desperate you are, if you are in the contract already, or about to end your contract, or you're new to contracting, I'm not saying try to lowball it, but you need to give some meat to the recruiter staffing agency as well. So if somebody is asking 65 to 75, and you know your worth is say 90 bucks as an example, because they say I don't even want to apply for this job, but you are in the market and you want to apply, you go in between. So you give the bata price, for example, say 69, right? So if there is 65 to 75, I usually go with the bata price of that 69. So it sounds like 60s, but it's actually touching 70s, right? Typically, when you are in the higher end of the asking range or the rate range, the staffing agency, again, it depends on the role and the resume. If you're a Hadoop developer and you are the only Hadoop developer in Canada, or the top 10 developers in Canada, and you have the job, you can ask whatever you want because that's a very rare skill set. But if you are a full stack developer, there are thousands of full stack developers in the market already, or a particular skill. I'm not, again, with all due respect to every skill, you need to be cognizant of the fact that the skills what you have, there are other 900 people with the same skill, same experience. So how do you differentiate in that first cut. So you need to throw meat or bone to the staffing agency as best as possible, and try to offer a rate, say, which might entice them to promote you, because sometimes they do that. And they say, okay, I'm going to make more margin per hour with Hitesh resume if I submit it, versus somebody else who has same experience, same skills, and but he's asking 72. So you may think it's $2 or $3, but that's per hour, and they do the math of, okay, $2 per hour times 6 months, it's that whatever margin get impacted, right? So the rate matters, the timing of your resume submission matters, and your resume again, how well built the resume is to match the must-have skills. Don't give cookie cutter resume for contracting. Most of the contracting jobs are very specific. I want a full stack developer with a capital market knowledge. I want a Hadoop developer with a IAM knowledge, as an example. That's why they are looking for contracting, because the skill set they want is kind of niche or specific in a way which they are not able to find in their internal employee database or through the full-time track. That's why they use the option. So you have to always think why somebody opens a contract role, because they're not able to find that skill in their internal database or through full-time track. So they are looking for contract because it's very niche. So you need to showcase that nicheness in your resume to stand out. And when you do that, so add a cover letter when you are doing that. A lot of people don't add cover letters. And also follow up, once you submit, follow up after 1 2 days. Hey, what happened? If you don't hear from them, and yeah.
Thank you, Hitesh. So let's open up the
Sudhir,
QA.
just one quick sub question, because it's for the benefit for the others also. Before we go, regarding this doubles submission that you mentioned, Hitesh. So most of the people, especially people who are new, they think, hey, I've done this in my home country, I've done in India, I submit, I change the email ID, this I do multiple submission, right? I know for a fact that if you do double submission, the client or the person who is going to hire is not going to fight with the both the recruitment agencies. Even if it is offer stage, the best of the best in the world, they will drop the candidate. Your thoughts on that, Desh, quick?
Yes, so they don't want, moment they see a confusion, they want to avoid that profile altogether, right? Even though you are the best, you are top of the cream of the pile. If they see a double submission, they'll completely avoid you altogether. So never do that. There are a lot of people that, okay, let me submit 69 here with staffing company A, let me try 72 with staffing company B, whichever comes, I'll go with that. With as Sajid said, that different name, or but they will find out. Like, you will be exposed, which you don't want to. And the worst thing is they might blacklist you. I mean, the staffing agency might blacklist, the end employer client can blacklist you, which you don't want.
Thank you, Sajid. Thank you, Hitesh. Let's open up Will Murugan.
Yeah. Hi all. Like I have two doubts. One is like actually like in my case, like I'm in an open work permit. Am I eligible to open incorporation account, or because like some people are telling like you have to be citizen or PR to open an incorporation account. And second,
Hitesh, I'll take it up. Okay. Yeah. Second question.
second question, has Hitesh said, like if you are a fresher, like it's good to start as an full timer instead of incorporate or contract. In my case, I have 10 years of experience back in India, and I just know starting my career in Canada. So I have to consider myself as a fresher, or how it is?
Okay, so maybe I'll take the first question, but there are two disclaimers. Okay, you need to talk to a tax consultant, and you need to talk to an immigration agent, right? Because whatever we know, we are sharing, but do not take it as a final word, because there are two disclaimers. The first thing is whether you can incorporate or not. Yes, you can incorporate, but whether can you use that experience to process your PR or use it anywhere? No, because if you're working as an incorporated contract, you will not get an experience letter, and you cannot give experience letter to yourself. So it's a double-edged sword. So you cannot use these any of your experience being as incorporated for your PR or any of these purpose. That's the first and the foremost things. Again, you have to check with your tax consultant and immigration agent. The second question, I'll let Hitesh answer, because the first one is a kind of tricky question. That's the reason I took it up. But yeah, Hitesh, you can answer the second one. Should he be
So
considering as a fresher or experienced guy?
No, I think you can go as lateral because it's again when I say fresher, it's like if you are just finished your university diploma or college or degree, whatever, in your home country or here wherever you are. So typically, who have student work permit and they're just starting their career at the first job or second job, those people I would avoid contracting. But in your case here, I think yeah, you if you have to experience back home or back in your home country, you're not a fresher. You're definitely lateral, and there's nobody because you have experience and skills to back it up in the resume. It's not here in Canada, but that's okay because the employees understand you have skills they need. It was done back home in your home country. So yeah.
Yeah. So one more thing, just wanted to add, because if you are working as a contractor or even if you are working in IT industry, right? I always promote everyone to build professional relationships. In Canada, you can lose job in a minute, right? On the same day, you can lose a job. You may get laid off. Your contract might end. It can happen in Canada. You need to have a very strong professional network and a very good connection with recruiters and consulting firms, so that you can stay alive in this industry, right? It is very, very, very competitive and it's very tough. So even if you are getting into as a contractor or even if you're a full-time, I would strongly recommend everyone to build your professional network here in Canada. Hitesh, you want to add something?
Yes, I think there are some, again, going back to overall basic thing. So this, what you said is correct. Networking is the number one thing of contracting, and that networking has to be meaningful. A lot of people network for, let me reach out to this person, so I want a job, right? You need to, it's a two-way street. You should not network to only extract. You should also network to give back, right? That's where the true networking comes. So a lot of people network. I'm looking for a job. I get the job. Thank you very much. You don't talk to the person for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and after 3, 4 years, hey, how are you, buddy? And then how is it going? You reach out because the content is up to date. I mean, coming for renewal, and you want those kind of networking doesn't last, right? So it has to be meaningful, real networking, two-way, where you both the parties are contributing to each other, helping each other, and so on. Other thing is, think that I don't know if when you think as a contracting, think that you have a home in Canada here, or and then you want to change your roof or build a deck. So you go to Google and say find a roofing company or a deck company, whatever, right? You look at the reviews, you look at the what projects they have done, you look at the rate, you look at a lot of other things. So same thing applies to IT contracting. So when somebody is posting a job for a IT contracting role, they're looking for a very specific skills. They're looking for somebody who is industry expert, who knows what they want. They have, because I'm spending that dollar, I want the ROI as a employer, or the homeowner, to change the roof or build a deck or paint a house or build a basement, whatever. I look for contractor to bring just not the skills but the value add. Hey, for example, I tell him that I want to put metal roof, just an example. The guy comes and says, why do you want to spend more on metal roof when you can get the same value or same ROI with the regular shingles, just an example. Or I want to build a basement with 3 rooms. He said, why do you want to build the 3 rooms? You end up having extensive building permit with the city of wherever you're living, and they'll extend the building permit process. When you have more than X square feet, I would recommend reduce the square feet by 2 rooms, and so you get your building permit sooner, so you can rent your basement faster, just an example, right? So those kind of things, the when you are IT contracting, you need to bring that 100% contracting mindset to your employer. And you need to be always up to date with the trainings and certification. That's what they if you are hiring roofing company, you don't expect them to, you will not train them how to install a roof. You assume that they are expert, they have the height training, they have the whatever training they needed to climb on the roof and or to build the deck or do the basement, etc. So it's very important that you are top of the certification or knowledge or trends in that field you are in, or whatever skills you are in. So you look like you are really subject matter expert. And try avoiding into going into, again, once you land the job and everything, I think we are shifting to the right. One thing I learned is avoid office politics. So you need to do your job. I'm not saying keep your head down and keep working. Talk to people, build the network, but try to avoid office politics. I have seen a lot of contracting jobs being disconnected halfway because they were engaged in gossip and office politics, etc. Again, I don't go details into that, but there are certain do's and don'ts you should be aware when you are entering contracting. That you need to be top of the skill of whatever you are. You with up to date training, up to date certifications, and you are really showing the value in the meeting you're attending, and the discussions, the email you are sending. They should see the value in you when you start working in the projects, the week one, day one, month one, etc., and so on and so forth.
Thank you, Hitesh.
Yeah.
I think Will Murugan, the questions were answered. So let's move on to Prasad then. Prasad.
Hi. Just a small question. Like, what are some financial records we as an IT consultants should keep we if we work as an incorporated entity?
I'll let Hitesh answer that. But before that, one more thing I just wanted to add is, if you are working as a IT incorporated person, right, as a company, you need to have a very good tax accountant, because that makes a huge difference in the money you save, right? So uh, you need to have a wonderful tax accountant who can save you some dollars, right? Who can manage all your bookkeepings and everything. But yeah, I'll let Hitesh answer Prasad's question.
Yeah, to start incorporation, I think is basic ID proof, address proof. There's nothing financial record you need to incorporate a company. But once you get paid, obviously you need to have bank account and so on and so forth. The fun begins when you the tax time, right? As Sudhir said again, you need to have a very good tax accountant. However, the tax accountant can only help you if you maintain your own bookkeeping to some extent. I have seen tax accountant. You just give the credit card statement, and they will filter out all the expenses, divide and group it by whatever they have. I've seen tax accountant. They have said that they want in Excel everything, and I have seen tax accountant who use Inuit and all this new tax softwares. But one thing is that keep your business card, credit card, whatever card you are using for business expense separate. So that's one thing I learned in the first 2 years. I was using my personal card to for business expense, and it was kind of a nightmare to tally. So one thing I would avoid is, do is that once you have your incorporation, open a bank account under the business name, have a business credit card, and whatever business expenses you have, spend using the business credit card. So it's easy that you just generate the statement at the end of the month or end of the year, and you are easy. So when March comes, it's easy. Next is your payroll and HST, because when you are doing contracting, you need to file three taxes. One is your income tax, which is income tax. Whatever money you are earning, you need to pay income tax on that. Next is your HST. Whatever HST you are getting from the employer, you need to pass on. Again, as I said, there are two models, 8% and 13% model. Again, I'm not recommending anything here. Your tax accountant will be the best person to guide you. But 90% of the contractor go with the flat 8% model. The third is your payroll tax. So you need to pay yourself as well. So when you are paying yourself, you need to deduct EI, CPP, or income tax, etc., from that as well. And that payroll tax you need to remit back to CRE. So there is quite a few of tax overhead. It might look overhead the first year or second year, but after that it becomes, once you get the flow of it or hang of it, it will be a flow every year over year. So to your question here, that how much, what are financial document by incorporating, not much, but once your tax time comes for the first year, you need to keep the receipts, credit card statements, and justify, because if you get audited, which I have seen some contractors, they put very exorbitant expenses. Don't try to write off everything. That's the mistake a lot of people do, is that I want to pay zero tax. Don't have the approach of paying zero tax. Again, not tax consultant here. Pay some tax, because if you pay some tax, you will be not in the bucket of tax authorities. And if you are not, well, I have seen people get audited because they pay zero HST, they pay zero payroll tax, they pay zero income tax. CRA says something is fishy. It's impossible for somebody to have zero tax in all the three areas. So you need to be cognizant of the fact that you need to be realistic in whatever you're writing off. Don't write off things you should not write off. A lot of people write off as a home office expense. Okay, I use my home office. I have my hydro bill, gas bill. Yes, you can use that, but don't give a hydro bill of $20,000. Just an example. Home office cannot have 20K hydro bill, right? So it's be reasonable when you are giving certain things.
Thank you, Hitesh. I just wanted to add 2 points here. So, first thing, what I generally do is I go to the tax accountant before the start of the financial year for the planning, that 1 year planning, right? That is what I first initially do. That has helped me a lot. A lot of people, a lot of contractors, they actually go at the end of the financial year, all with all these credit card statement for 12 months, and then they will end up paying a huge amount of taxes. So I go in the advance when the start of the year, and then I'll plan it accordingly, and then I pay interim taxes so that I don't get a burden at the after the 12th month. So that's the first thing what we have to do. Second thing is I'm inviting a professional tax consultant maybe next to next week to speak about the incorporation taxes and all. So he will explain in detail what are the taxes or how much we have to pay as a tax when you are working as an incorporated person. The third is I just posted few comments in the original post. It's a parameters to be considered as a contractors, tips and tricks for contractors, and the comparison between contracting and full time. These three document will actually help you understand or get a clear idea of what all things you have to expect joining as a contractor. Okay, Prasad, I believe the question is answered. We'll move to the next person. Gaurav.
Thanks.
Hey, hi Sudhir. Thanks for arranging this session. So my question is about contract termination. So basically, like I have a contract of 1 year with the employer, and I'm working for one of their client. So after like post 5 6 months, my client would like to hire me for their payroll. But at the same time, my contract says if I terminate the contract, I cannot work for the same client for the next 1 year. So, what is the best way to handle this situation, and like, what are the legal implications if it's not done? Like, I terminate and just join the client.
Maybe the public forum is not the right person to ask that question and right answer the question. Hitesh, if we can diplomatically say that, I would let you say. But yeah,
No, it's very
because this, because this involves a lot of legal things and all, right? So you have to understand that we are not legal representatives or anything. We just speak from our experience, right? So you may have to check with some person who is actually a lawyer or someone. I don't know about that, but yeah, I'm just saying we might not be the right person to answer that, especially in a public forum. But Hitesh, I'll just let
okay.
you answer.
I'll wear a personal hat for a minute, and then I'll wear a incorporation hat for a minute. Personal hat, yes, I understand you want continuity, and the client wants to hire you, but because of the contracting, you cannot, and etc. That's where the networking kicks in with your staffing agency, with your recruitment company who's hiring you or who is paying you, the mid company, right? The middleman. I have done myself that many years ago, and I have seen other people doing that. What they say, okay, what if I get you another RPA automation developer, okay, who will replace this role, and I go join work time, full time that company. So it's a win-win situation. That's where the networking kicks in. So you there, everything is up for negotiation. Yes, contracts are there. Not saying denying that non-compete is there for a reason, because if they don't have non-compete, everybody will work for 3 4 months with a particular employer, and they'll switch to become full-time or direct contracting. Then what's the point of the middleman or staffing and doing all the heavy lifting to find the very good candidate and skills and then do that? So there's a reason for you to respect that and understand that as well, from the middleman point of view. So if you can, again, I don't know how much time you have left, start building a relationship with the staffing company's account manager or business account manager, development manager, if you can, and say, hey, and I'm not saying, tell them in the first meeting itself, and they say, hey, just have a hi, hello, just go for a lunch meeting, coffee meeting, whatever, and just build a conversation. The second, third meeting, you slowly open up this ask, and say that, hey, I'm thinking to do this because of this is a good opportunity. I understand from your point of view, we have a non-compete. Is there any way we can come middle way to do that? And if the answer is strict no, don't push. And you need to respect that boundary, because there are certain things they have that. But yeah, so that's why the second answer is kind of diplomatic. You need to build a network, and that's why I said make a meaningful network with everybody who, when you're in contracting, your staffing agency, your recruiter, the staffing agency's business development lead, your client hiring manager, of course, the client's boss, the client's procurement team on the bank side. So there are a lot of things you need to make network. You never know which network contact will come handy when you need them. Again, meaningful networking, keyword meaningful. It matters. So it should not be one way you only reach out to them when you want them, but it has to be that, hey, how can I help you if you are stuck somewhere, or if they reach out to you, you should be helping them. But yeah, to your point, employment lawyer is the best person to answer. However, I'm hearing in bits and pieces that the non-compete, if they challenge, for example, you don't want to go there, you can break the contract and join the company. But if they challenge you in the court, the it will.
Hitesh, let's not get there because there have
Okay.
been some changes in those policies. But again, we have not received the legal version of that. But we
Yes.
don't want to get there, right? But
Okay.
basically, it's all negotiations. If
Yes.
they, yeah, it's all how you negotiate. That's it, Gaurav.
Yep, yep. Thanks,
Okay,
Sudhir.
yeah,
Thanks,
thank you,
Hitesh. Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, let's move on to Vivek.
Hey, hi Sudhir. Hello everyone. So I had some basic questions. Like when we talk about incorporation, some CPAs suggest about the sole proprietorship versus incorporation. Just wanted to have a clear distinction between these two. When would anyone, IT consultant, take up as a sole proprietorship versus incorporation? And also, we hear a lot about bare trust. Does that apply to
Sorry, what rest?
incorporated the bare trust
Okay.
and the tax implications for a bare trust? Just wanted to understand, with whether the IT incorporated consultants do they come under the bare trust?
I am not sure about the second part. The first part also, I would let the CPA see the moment you have gone to the CPA, right? They know the best, right? So maybe you want to check with CPA, but yeah, again, Hitesh, you want to answer, you answer. But yeah, it's a, see, one thing is when we go to the CPAs, right? When we tell them our situations and all, they would recommend the best. So we are not CPAs, or we don't have that much knowledge of a CPA. But yeah, Hitesh, in case you want to add, please.
Yeah. So number one thing, tax. Keeping aside other things, right? Most of the incorporation people have the spouse as the joint owner, or the kids if they're old enough, 18 plus, 21 plus. So you can hire them as your employees of your own corporation. But one thing is your tax rate is different. When you are a corporate incorporation, your rate, if I'm not, is 15%, if I'm not wrong. Sole proprietor is not 15%. It will come mostly as a personal tax, where you are the only owner. So the tax burden will be higher for you, definitely. You cannot write off certain business expense which you can write off in incorporation. Then there are, if again, not saying that if you want to expand, or for example, if you want to create some companies, for example, you are ABC Incorporation where you provide custom services. I can create a sub entity within that ABC as XYZ, which provides mobile app development, or I can create another 1 2 3 incorporation which creates website development or whatever, right? So the structure is more flexible with corporation. When I say flexible, you have options to expand. When you are sole proprietor, it's easy to set up because it's sole proprietor. Again, a tax consultant and will be the best person. But on an onset, the tax bracket is the biggest change for you. You will be taxed differently when you are a sole proprietor versus a incorporation. And you want to, I assume you want to pay lower tax, but you can decide whichever rate you want to go to. But this is the information I'm understanding.
What about
Okay.
the second one, Hitesh? So what is that? Bail trust, right?
I'm
Bear Trust.
I
BARE.
Bear trust.
don't
I'm
personally. I
not sure.
don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
let me.
sorry for
Okay,
that.
no worries. It's if it's not known,
Okay.
it's good. Like, I don't need to ask.
Okay.
And other thing is when we create an incorporation, we do have an option to choose the financial year, right? Whether from the date of incorporation to the exactly the same day next year. For example, if I create in November, it's November to November, that would be the tax year, versus choosing the option to Jan to December as the default cycle. Is there any advantages of one over the other, especially choosing Jan to December, in case if even though we are starting the incorporation mid of the year?
Certain payroll taxes have set date. For example, HST and payroll tax, they have a set date regardless of your incorporation year. So all the payroll tax have a February cutoff, and I think HST has a March cutoff, if I'm not wrong. Income tax is the only one where you have flexibility depending on when you open. If it's November to November, then you file your, I mean, you pay your income tax at the November. But as Sudhir said before, don't wait for the end of the 12 months to pay your income tax. Pay your income tax in portion, in increments, every quarter, every month, whatever, so you don't get a big tax bill or surprise at the end of the year, or at end of the fiscal year or financial year. So to keep it simple, the accountants and most of the companies also, our incorporation, they keep it Jan December. I'm not saying it's a norm, but 70 to 80% is the norm, to align with that February payroll cutoff and March HST cutoff. Income tax is the only one where you will have the flexibility, as I said before. But yeah, and there is pros and cons. If you wait, you want to do all the paperwork in one clean slate, December, I mean Jan December, so you have a clean start and a clean end to a year. And so from a tax point of view, you have your folders and everything is more organized. So it's just the one advantage I can think of. I cannot think of a disadvantage of a Jan to December, right?
I'll
So
tell you, Hitesh.
yeah.
So I don't follow Jan December because by December, right? It's a holiday time. Tax accountants might not be available and all. It's a holiday. We might go on a vacations and all, right? So what I generally do is I follow a different timeline, so that it's a normal working hours, normal working month, and that has helped me a lot during managing these paperwork or closing, paying in corporation taxes and all. That's it.
Okay, so from your experience, does it add any the negative side of it of
uh,
doing it in a non-Jan to December?
no, see, there are multiple things, right? So one thing I'll tell you, so one example I'll give you. So a lot of contractors, right, they have the furlough for the last December last 10 days will be a furlough, right? And what happens is, imagine you are giving the year end as a December, and you have to pay around maybe $30,000 as a incorporation tax, right? So at that time you might not have the money because you have not worked for 10 days, right? So that time the money crunch will be there. It's a holiday season, you might go on a vacation and all. So during the if you keep it as a kind of April to March, or May to June, or sorry, June to May, at that time you might have some cash in your hand, and I have not seen any disadvantage. It's been 6 7 years, I have not seen any disadvantage with it. Only thing is, you have to just remember all these things, and you have to work with your accountant. You should not miss that. That's the only thing.
All right, that's good to know.
Okay,
Thanks.
yeah, thank you, Vivek. Let's move on to the next person, Manu.
Hi, Sudhir.
Hey,
Hi,
Manu.
all.
Yep.
Sudhir, my question is with respect to that experience letter. Suppose I am having currently experience of 7 years, and suppose I got a contract of 1 year. So after 1 year, suppose if I am getting a full-time job, if I am not getting that experience letter, how it will affect my actual experience, right? How can I tell that other employer that I do have 8 years experience,
Yeah, it's
unless it
basically
is
a
documented?
referral checks, right? So yeah, that's not a big deal here. We have been working as a contractors for a year, right? So we have this referral checks. Mostly it is referral checks. What is happening? So sometimes they do this. They ask you to submit the T4 and all. I have seen that in a couple of cases. where they asked you to submit the T4. And in one particular case, I have seen the client asking this person, when this person was trying to join as a full timer, to get a letter from CRA that he was employed. I don't remember the name of the letter, but that is only one case where I have seen, to ensure that he was working or to avoid the fake experience and all. But other than that, I think it is mostly the experience letter. Sajid, Hitesh, correct me if I'm wrong. It's not the experience letter, it's the referral checks.
Yeah. So just to add to that, a lot of companies have slowly built up system where third-party softwares, and there are information which is being tracked. So background checks and all those companies, they can have access to CRAs. That your payroll deposits, they can track. If the company goes to the extent that you worked here, they might go to the extent of tracking your payroll deposits. So that's why the background check actually kicks in. Every company have different severity of background check. Usually, it's just a name, number, and a phone number, email they reach out to. But some companies can go to different extent. It depends on how the role is sensitive, right? So it's a very sensitive role, and they want somebody who's truly have the experience. They will go to the extent. Also, going back to the other thing, people, I mean, connection in your interviews, in your resume, in your talking with the hiring managers and etc. If you have showcased the skill they want, the background, I'm not saying the referral check, background checks becomes a formality. That's why they will just do a back call the person who are giving the name, call John so and so, and this is the number, this is the email. They call them, they close the background check. But if they think that this is okay, but I still want to do a in-depth background check, they might go to the extent of hiring a third-party companies where they can look for your payroll deposits, your T4s, etc. So yeah.
Yeah, employer
Okay.
records. So your all the details of wherever you worked is there in your employer of record. So any company can just check up your employer records and see which all companies you worked and what is the status on that, right? To what Sudhir and Hitesh said, this is all our doing itself. Before COVID or during COVID, uh, this kind of checks were very less. Hitesh, nowadays most of the companies are doing the third party check voluntary. There are lot of fake experience, fake profiles. So we have brought it on ourselves. Earlier, mostly they would ask only contractors for skin. Now even for permanent roles, they are asking for skin. Sorry, the same visa documents and all those things. So the more they find that there are issues in fake experiences, fake profile, they're going to scrutinize it more.
Thank you, Sajid,
So
Hitesh.
one doubt,
Yeah,
so
madam.
there, like, so whatever might be the experience that I'm getting through contract, I can use only in Canada, right?
What do you mean by that?
Suppose if I can't use it for, suppose if I'm going back to India, and in that case, suppose if I'm trying for employer over there, I can't use it, right? Suppose I have additional 2 years of experience in contracting, through
I think,
contracting in
yeah,
Canada,
I
I
think
can't
you
use
can
it,
get
right?
the letters from here, right? So you can get this employment of records or whatever the records or the referral letters. All
Okay.
these things you can use, yeah, but no relieving letter or no experience letter, just like in India.
Oh, okay, okay,
Okay,
okay, so thank you. Yeah, thank you.
okay. Thank you, Manu. So let's move on to Titus.
Oh, hey there, Sudhir. Thanks a lot for the session itself. I've got a couple of questions I wanted to ask regarding incorporation. So, the very first being, how do you find a good accountant, or what qualifies as a good accountant
Referral. Just go with the reference.
with references itself,
Yeah.
right? Okay, okay. And the second part is,
See, we use reference for getting accountant, right? Similarly, the employers use reference to get a good employee. Same thing.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that,
Go.
that's fine. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
And the second part is opening up a bank account for incorporation. So, would it be advisable to open up on the same bank that you've got your personal account with, or is it always, keep it separate on a different bank itself, or with a different bank?
I would keep it same, Hitesh.
Same. Yeah. My
Yeah.
personal investment, incorporation, everything is one bank.
Yeah. It makes our life easy.
Yeah, and you get you will some monthly fee discount, man. Like you will save actually eventually, because if you have more than 2 3 products, they will basically give you a discount on lot of
Yeah.
monthly fees. Yeah.
More than that, the fund transfer here and there, it makes our life easy. That's the thing.
Okay, perfect. And one last thing. So I guess you did mention about filing taxes. So I just wanted to clarify that you did mention earlier that you do not wait till the end of the year to file the tax itself. So what do you mean by that exactly?
Yeah, maybe I'll clear that. Okay, so that's when you are running as an incorporation, right? There are three types of taxes. So one is personal taxes, where you take the salary from the company and you have to remit the payroll taxes, just like the CPP or EI, CPP, and all, and that tax. So when you work as a full timer, the company does it, but when you are incorporated, you have to do it, right? That's the first
Okay.
tax. Your
Hmm.
salary, the tax for your salary,
Okay.
which includes your personal tax, your EI, CPP, and all.
Okay.
Second thing is HST. So the company will pay you. Imagine you get $100 per hour. So the company will pay you $13 extra.
Hmm.
So you get $113. You have to take that $13 and pay that $13 to the uh, 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 CRA. That can happen quarterly. I'm just giving a rough timing, okay? Because based on the business, it will change. So HST need to be remitted on a quarterly basis.
Okay.
So the
So
third tax,
yeah,
no,
just to, oh, sorry,
let me
sorry.
finish this.
Yeah, sure.
So the third tax is called incorporation taxes. That is basically after your expenses of the company, the amount remaining for your incorporation, right? That is called incorporation. Basically the profit or whatever. So you pay a tax for that. That is called the incorporation taxes. So imagine you, after completing your 1 year company or 1 year running the company, you have around $60,000 in your company. So it's at around 12 percentage or 14 percentage. So you have to pay $7,000, right?
Hmm.
So you have to pay that $7,000 at the end of the financial year. So to
Okay.
avoid paying that $7,000 in one shot, what people do is they pay $600 or $700 per month for the incorporation taxes. Same thing,
Oh,
HST. Instead of that 3 months thing, what they do is they pay monthly or they pay quarterly. It's okay. But for this incorporation amount, imagine you are getting $100 per hour, your overall salary will be around 150K, and you will end up paying like around 12,000 to $14,000 as an incorporation tax at the end of the year. So that is basically your 1 month salary will go as a tax. To avoid that, what tax accountants recommend is you pay $1,000 per month to the CRA. So we will not wait until the end of the year to pay this 12,000 or $14,000. We pay $1,000 per month so that we don't get the burden at the end of the year. Now you can answer the question.
yeah, but thanks for the detailed explanation, Sudhir. So my
Yeah,
question over here was, so in the contract it's mentioned that a certain amount would be paid plus any HST or GST would be paid by the company. So
correct.
does this still mean that I owe the HST to the government?
Yes.
Okay, okay. It's just that
Yeah.
they are passing on the amount to me so that I pay the government, right?
That is correct. That is how it works. So, right, so as Hitesh said, we go to Walmart, we purchase a $500 TV, we have to pay $65 HST. So, what the Walmart does is Walmart will pass on the $65 to CRA, like that.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that
Yeah,
clarifies things up. Thanks a lot, Sudhir and
no
Hitesh.
worries, no worries.
And on the same note, I think a lot of people have that why it's good practice to pay upfront is interest. Basically, it's government money you're keeping for the whole 12 months, right? And if you file tax, and most of the time we owe them, right? When you are in the owing mode, the interest kicks in the day one you owe. You file the tax on, say, April 1st, and you owe $8,000. There is a interest penalty which all kicks in immediately on day one. Sometimes they'll give you a grace period of maybe 2 weeks, right? You have to pay everything, but no more than 2 weeks. So you will end up paying a lot of interest and penalties if you have not paid over, I mean, in advance in quarterly or monthly, because basically it's government money you have kept from Jan to December, which you should have paid for HST, for payroll tax, or income tax. So all this tax will add up, and then if you add interest penalty on top of it, it will become a big number, which you want to avoid. So it's best practice to pay a small portion every month. And also, I am again off record, you will be in the good books of CRA. So if you are paying monthly, then they will have less chance of auditing you. Then it means that you are straightforward, keeping your bookkeeping straight. There's nothing to hide here. So yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
unfortunately, when I started my incorporation, right, I didn't had a good accountant, and I didn't knew about this, and I ended up paying a lot of penalty, right? I missed out a lot of payment because I never knew that. So had to pay a lot of penalty because they didn't waive off. They said mistakes happens only one, but I had to pay for interest for around 8 months or something like that. So I ended up paying like more than $1,000 as a penalty. So it was unnecessary uh, uh, penalty which I paid. Okay,
Yeah, thanks for the information, Hitesh and
get a
Sudhir.
good
So,
accountant. That is very important. Yep,
yeah, Sudhir, so I'll reach out to you after the session
sure,
and then
sounds good.
talk.
Yeah,
Thanks.
let's move on to Jayendra.
Hey, hi everyone. I have two questions, guys. One, can we do two contract job at the same time? And I found contract jobs interviews very lenient, and at the times it doubt that are we gonna sustain in this job for a lot for a while, or maybe if your employer decide to let you go before your contract ends, uh, is that possible in contract job or how it is?
So
Before
Hitesh,
discussion
one second,
proceeds.
one second, one second, one second. We are not answering the first question. Okay,
Okay.
No,
we
no,
are
no. I
not.
want to answer that. Sudhir, I want to answer that.
So
Okay,
moonlighting.
I want to answer that because see, that is the biggest problem, right? You see, on what legal terms are you saying that you will work on two contracts?
Uh, in my offer letter, in code of conduct, they haven't mentioned anything like that. That I'm okay. Uh,
Get a good lawyer and read that document very clearly. I'm sure that any basic employer contract will not allow. Of course, let's say you're working in an IT company and you want to have a contract as a baker, go ahead. There's no conflict of interest.
so,
okay.
Sajid.
Yeah.
No. Let us not discuss it in this. This session is public forum, and we are recording this session. This is getting live streamed in YouTube, guys. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Chandra, I'll give you an example here.
Chandra, you
Uh,
should not ask these kinds of question in public. It's
I'll,
just like, can I
I'll,
add fake experience in my profile?
We will ask
People
that.
will
No?
not. Yeah,
Someone
don't
came
do it.
into
Yeah,
this session and asked, "Can I add fake
yeah.
experience?"
Please don't
Because
do it.
everybody
put
suggests.
in perspective, Chandra. For example, assuming that you are a client, right? Uh, for example, your kid's school as a teacher. Assuming that teacher is moonlighting between two classrooms, and your son or daughter, whoever you have, is not able to get good grades because the teacher is moonlighting, right? So you need to understand the consequence and the thing that when you do certain action, are you proud of that action? And if the reverse happens to you personally or somebody does to you on another way, where somebody promises that I'm going to change your roof in 1 week, but he takes 6 months, or somebody a roof is a bad example, building a basement, for example, right? And they take extra. I have seen basement construction going on for 2 years because the basement contractors, they moonlight 3 4 5 jobs at the same time. And yeah, so just put in perspective on the other end as well, when you ask these questions, that what if somebody does to you, how would you react to it?
Okay. So again, we don't take any responsibility for that because those kind of questions, see, immigration related thing, these kinds of questions, we cannot answer. So what was the second question, Yendra? I forgot it.
Yeah. The second question is that I found uh, contract interview are very lenient compared to the permanent roles, and it is very short. And sometimes they offer a position to you, and that doubt that okay, they are just gonna they may gonna let you go before your contract ends. So I just wanted to make sure that that is still stand right to join those kind of contract
Okay.
jobs.
So maybe I'll take it up, Hitesh. So here the thing is, so from my experience, right? See, contract jobs, it's very give and take. There is no screening round. HR will not call
Yeah.
you for screening rounds and all. It might be one technical round, right? So one technical round or one managerial round. That's it. Contracting, you will get the contract. Now contract termination, right? Any day, any moment, it can happen with just 2 weeks of notice. That's a industry standard. Within 2 weeks of notice, your contract can terminate. My contract just got extended within 2 days. The contract got terminated. My contract, it happened multiple times. It's not like one day. Has happened multiple times. The contract gets extended within few days. The contracts get terminated because of the funding, because of various other reasons, right? So yes, that is always a risk here in contracting. Hitesh, you want to add something?
Yeah, same thing. So I think when you sign up as a contractor, you are signing up for uncertainty, but you negate that uncertainty by your skills and your experience and the value you bring to the client. So the whole point of contracting is that they want a specific service or a scope from you, and for whatever reason, budgeting on client side, their roadmap has changed, their scope has changed, and they don't need that particular scope of service or skill or experience what you provide. They'll say, thank you very much, Jendra. We will see next time, right? That's the whole when you are signing up for contracting, and that's why they say premium, lack of better word, between full time and contract is the dollar is different. So you sign up for the uncertainty and you negate it by higher pay you get, and you also negate it possibly not to have that situation by your skills, your experience, your value add provided to the client. Where if they want to cut jobs, you are in the bottom of the list to cut the job, not on the top of the list. So your action and your work should speak for itself. That if I were to let go Jendra, I have to think 2 3 times because he provides value, he provides a skill which is hard to find, hard to get. So I'll if I were to job cut somebody, I would start with ABC and then come to Jendra. So,
Okay. And just spontaneous question, guys. In that regards, are this person is gonna get the employee insurance, means EI benefits? If
No.
he, oh,
no,
Incorporated contract, you
no,
will
no,
get
no, no, on
uh,
T4.
T4, yes.
Okay.
T4 is different, buddy. T4 is totally different. Incorporation is totally different.
No, no, I'm asking about T4. So T4 is
Okay,
still eligible.
this is a session for incorporation, but yes, T4, yes, you can,
Okay, okay,
because you're paying for that EI.
okay.
Okay, yeah. So let's move on to Praveen.
Hey, hi Sudhir. Thanks for having this session. So, I have a couple of questions which are on recruiting side. So nowadays, I'm seeing many of those calls which we are actually receiving from the recruiters. They are not ready to share the end client information. So, how are you guys actually handling this? And is it actually legally allowed not sharing the end client information? That's the
Uh,
first question.
I'll let Sajit answer. Sajit, yeah, but yes, from my perspective, yes, they
Okay.
don't have to.
They don't
Oh.
legally they don't have to, but see, this is the challenge, right? What happens is there, what Hitesh mentioned, the recruiter has taken do you know how the recruiter gets paid when you do a T4 A? So every hour that you pay the recruiter,
Mhm.
$4 5 goes for payroll, and the rest is what the company gets. Of that percentage is what the recruiter gets. So recruiter has put in effort. It's not like a permanent is the moment you join, within 1 month the recruiter at the company gets the percentage of the fees, right? Now the recruiter in the other session will in the other instance will only get after once you work. So every hour that you work is where the recruiter gets.
Okay, I understand that, but I feel like this is a both ways, right? So, as employer needs a employee also actually giving the benefit of working to the employer. So, as an employee, it's not like a one way street,
So,
right? So, as
Praveen,
an employee, I know
Praveen,
just I'm trying to understand the
I
process.
know. So this
I'm not
happens
trying to
only
cut you
during
off. So,
screening.
yeah.
So this happens only during screening, right? During screening, they have not selected you. Your interview is not scheduled, right? At that time, they are not ready to share the information. But the moment they say that, okay, you are the right candidate, at that time, they will share the details of the client, because you have to attend the interview, right? So without knowing the client, how can you attend the interview? So during screening, yes, they may not share, because there's a high chance that you will go through another agency and submit to the same client. But what we generally do is, from contracting perspective, right? We literally ask them, so is this so ABC client? Because I have already submitted to that ABC client, right? So when we
Mhm.
tell that, they'll say that no, it is not ABC client, it is XYZ client. So people like me, Hitesh, who is kind of been in contracting for a long time here in Canada, right? They don't hide the client details from us, right? We It's a basic negotiation what happens
Yeah, that's
on
what
the
I feel
rates.
too.
Yeah,
Like,
on the rates and all. But what happens is, a lot of these junior level roles, right? They get the details and then they go with this different agency. So to
Not only
avoid
agencies,
that,
so they directly try to apply through if that role is posted, they
yeah,
directly try to apply and try to get into the system. So that is another challenge.
that is
okay.
another challenge. So during screening, they may not share, but the moment you say that okay, the once you send the resume, they say that okay, you are the right candidate, send me the RTR. At that time they have to share the job code. So basically that job code will have the client details most of the cases.
Okay. So recently I was talking to one of the big vendor, like so they are saying it's not a legal way of doing that, but I am not sure. Anyway, so thanks for that. The second question is, how are we guys actually handling? Nowadays there are so many vendors in between actual end client and you. Actually, earlier it was like one or two. I mean, nowadays there are so many sub vendors are coming in, right? So, is it actually, how are you guys handling it? Because
Professional network, that is purely based on professional network. If you can cut a vendor, you can take the profit home, right? So
yeah,
imagine there are three vendors, you cut two vendors, you actually get around $10 extra maybe,
that's
okay,
true.
per hour, right? So
Yeah,
it is purely based on the professional networking, and it is totally referral, the professional network and the connection with the recruiters. That is how we are managing. That is one of the reasons why I have started this 5 years back, right? Because to build connection, so to share information and all those things. But whatever I have learned is only given. Nobody has helped me till date for 5 years, right? Nobody has offered me a help till date, as Sajit knows that, right? Everyone wants like to extract information to get my referral, but till date not even a single person has approached me saying that, Sudhir, do you need any help? I'll help you. No, no, zero times.
We are not
So
looking. We are not looking at
so
that
the
ROI. No, Sudhir. If we were
that's
looking at
correct. That's
that
correct.
ROI,
Yeah, I just started as a blogger, right? I just started blogging, and somehow it actually got attention. Then COVID started, then we started Clubhouse, then LinkedIn audio room. That's how we grew, right?
yeah,
But yeah, so 99.9 percentage of the people who approaches me, they don't want to build professional network, they just want the service. And once the help is done, as Hitesh said, they'll say thank you, goodbye. But in our case, myself and Sajid, they won't even say thank you. They will not even let us know. We find it out after 2 years when they approach us for the next opportunity. Okay, so so they don't even bother to say thank you for the 8 to 10 hours we spent training them or coaching them. So yeah, it's purely based on professional network. We actually try to cut these vendors and we directly go with the client. That makes a huge difference in our
And just to add to
package.
that second
that is
Yeah,
question,
Hidesh.
my perspective here is everybody wants to make a buck, right? So if you got a job and there are five agencies in between, and then you know that you come to know about the five agencies in between, talk to the negotiate again. That's where the people skills and the correction comes in. Say, hey, for my next renewal, can we cut of the five, two of them? Is an example, right? So instead of five, it's three. So you'll not cut everybody, but you can cut two, right? So that you should use the opportunity to do the renewals, right? And that renewal comes in when you showcase value, you showcase the skills you are providing to the client, and you tell the client. Sometimes I'm not saying you tell the client everything, but say that, hey, that I am making less for whatever reason. So there are different ways to get the dollar you want. You ask the client to increase the budget because you have a specific skill set or niche skill set, or sorry, very extraordinary knowledge. So you are deserving that rate what you want. And for that to happen, client will say, okay, I understand there are five clients between me and Praveen. I won't reduce to three because Praveen will get more at the end of the day. Or if the client can find more money, great. So then everybody's happy. You still have five clients, and you still get paid more. So there are ways to do that, but you need to also understand that contract came because of those five agencies communicating among each other, and it landed between Praveen and the employer. So you need to give that credit or that due to them. Yes, it may not sound fair, but it is what it is. So you move from full time to contracting to make a buck. And same thing happens with staffing. They all want to make a buck, and you need to be cognizant of that fact. So yeah.
Yeah, so a couple of things which I wanted to add. Like, see, this is from the experience, right? Do not. Oh, okay. This is Canada is a very, very, very small market, right? You try to work with people whom you know, right? So do not break your professional relationships, right? You just break one relationship, you don't know when you need it, right? So a lot of people after getting the job, they'll just ignore everything and they just go, they just put mute, they just exit the group, they just don't help others, and then they get into trouble when they try to when they get terminated, like, right? A lot of contracts gets terminated very quickly. A lot of people who doesn't get full-time employment after that 3 months of probation, right? A lot of people get kicked out during the probation. So all these things happen, anything might happen. So try to maintain your relationship, the professional relationship. As Hitesh said, I will reuse that word, meaningful relationship. It is not just take take, right? It's a meaningful relationship. Do not break these relationships. This is very, very, very important in Canada. That is the first thing. Second thing, you are not protected in even in as a full timer or a contractor. I have seen people with 2 decades of experience in the same company getting fired. So yeah, there is no job security here in Canada, even being a full timer or a contractor. And that is the time when the professional relationship or your network matters. Sajid, you want to add something, because I understand that Sajid also has good inputs on this.
Nothing. So what you mentioned, right, on long-term relationship. Now, I work for an agency which is in the recruitment business for last 25 years, right? And I've seen this again and again. The moment what you said, that the moment the person loses a job, they will contact my boss, because that is a kind of relationship that they have built with. So they don't. And how do they build that relationship? Is not that you're connected with hundreds of recruiters, right? They have 3 or 4 very good recruitment agencies which who know their profile very well. And like Hitesh mentioned, right, 12 to 24 hours is the gap. So what happens is, if you the profile that you have, even if you're not actively looking, it is updated on the recruiter's search, and it is very specialized, so it is put into buckets. The moment a role comes, mail is shot to all these people. Everybody knows how the process works. It's so smooth. You get all the rates, those who are interested. If they get 5 candidates, they'll just screen it, share maybe 3 candidates, and the whole process by end of the day is done. So that's how fast these contract. And that is why most of those contracting roles, no, but there's no time to post it also. So that is where the hidden market is. If you have built that network and if you have developed it, you contracting is a great space. But and one thing what Hitesh has mentioned in this session, networking more than he has mentioned the term contract, right? Even Sudhir has mentioned the word networking more than the times that they mentioned contract, where contract is the topic itself. So the having a LinkedIn connection is not networking. Please be aware that just because you're connected with a recruiter on LinkedIn, because now what is happening is they're saying, most of the people are saying, I've shared the mail to the recruiter, but the recruiter has not reverted back on it. But have you had the conversation with the recruiter? Does the recruiter know your profile well, right? Have you picked up the phone and called? Why do the recruiters share their email ID and their telephone number? Most of the recruiters, they share their telephone number, because you need to take the initiative and set up and build a bond with, let's say, at least 3 recruiters or recruitment agencies, who can, the moment you are going with a contract role or you're ending a contract, they need to know that you're active in the market. So that is very important. Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
provided you are authorized to work, you are currently in Canada, and you are a match to the job requirement. These three are very, very, very important, because the client expect the contractor, the productivity from contractor on day one. Not like full timers will get 2 months to ramp up, right? No, contractors output is expected from day one. I joined one company on day one. I didn't get the laptop. Somebody gave me their seat and they asked me to work in front of them, because the critical, it was a big critical fix they had to do. And they just passed their laptop to me, and I had to work with their laptop, because the day one they expect the uh, output and the value add as such.
It's plug and play, right? So the
Plug and play.
expectation
Yep.
is plug and
Absolutely, yes. And 2 weeks or 2 weeks of notice period. That's it. Contracting, any contracting, it is just mostly 99%. It's 2 weeks of notice period. There is nothing we can do about it, right? Anyways, I think we are well over time. So I believe this session was helpful for everyone, and I have a special thanks to Hitesh and Sajid for coming in or accepting my invite and sharing all these valuable information. Thanks, Hitesh, and thanks, Sajid. We will have another podcast this Wednesday. Sajid has a podcast on Monday. Sajid, right? Monday
Monday,
afternoon at 11.
Monday
I
afternoon.
have the podcast next Wednesday evening. Some good topics. In case you want us to have some topics, you can just ping me. I'll be happy to invite some speakers to discuss some topics which you guys are interested in. And today's discussion was really good. I have posted all the important links below the original event post, and you can also reach out to me or Hitesh in case you guys have any question, or you can wait till the next session. And also, this session is recorded and it is being published in YouTube. You can actually watch YouTube in case you guys have missed any of these event. So thanks, guys. Everyone, good luck with your contract job search. Would be happy to know in case anybody gets into contracting. So just let us know. We would join you for the party. So thanks, everyone. Have a good night, and we'll talk during the next session. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Good night.
Thank you.